Imagine planning the happiest day of your life, the flowers, the dress, the man of your dreams waiting at the altar. Now imagine walking in and finding your fiancé in the arms of your maid of honor. On your wedding day. That's what happened to me. And what you're about to hear is how the perfect love story I built for years shattered in a single moment. I'd spent months imagining this day, every detail etched perfectly in my mind. The flowers, the aisle, the soft music drifting through the chapel, and, of course, Liam standing at the altar, looking at me like I was the only woman in the world. I thought love could feel no stronger than in that moment. From the morning I woke up, my heart raced. My fingers trembled as I touched the satin of my wedding dress, imagining stepping into it for the first time. Emma, my best friend, fussed over my hair and makeup, keeping my nerves at bay with her endless chatter. But beneath the laughter, a tiny flicker of unease tugged at me. I pushed it away. Weddings were supposed to be magical, not filled with suspicion. My parents were buzzing with excitement, taking countless photos and reminding me to breathe. "Chloe, you look stunning," my mother said, tears in her eyes. My father clapped me on the shoulder and grinned. "Today's your day. Enjoy every second." And I believed them. Liam was the epitome of charm that morning, polished, smiling, utterly perfect. His hand found mine, fingers warm, his eyes steady and reassuring. "You ready for this?" he asked. I nodded, my heart so full I thought it might burst. I trusted him completely, blindly even. He was my fiancé, my supposed forever, the man I had chosen to share my life with. Madison, my maid of honor, adjusted my veil, her smile bright and confident. I didn't notice the way her eyes lingered on Liam a little too long, the tiny smirk when she whispered something to Emma. I was too happy, too focused on the dream, to care. And that's how it started, the perfect day, the perfect moments, the perfect illusion. I had no idea that behind the smiles and the laughter, the foundation of my happiness was already cracking, and that the people I trusted most were about to betray me in the cruelest way imaginable. Weeks before the wedding, every detail felt like a whirlwind of happiness. I had always dreamed of this day, but planning it made it even more magical. Victoria Lane, our wedding planner, had been a godsend, turning my Pinterest boards into reality. The flowers, the linens, the table arrangements, all exactly as I envisioned. Emma and I spent countless hours perfecting every little detail. I was convinced that no one could care more about this day than I did. Liam seemed just as excited, or at least, that's what I told myself. He attended dress fittings, tasted cake samples, and smiled as if he shared my enthusiasm. But the first subtle cracks appeared. Liam sometimes canceled last-minute meetings, citing urgent work or problems at the office. I noticed the frustration in Madison's eyes whenever he rescheduled plans with her, the way she would linger a little longer than necessary in his presence. I dismissed it as overthinking. After all, it was my wedding, and everyone wanted it to be perfect. Even at family gatherings, there were whispers I tried to ignore. Emma joked about how Madison and Liam seemed to always be in sync, but I laughed it off. I wanted to trust my instincts, but I also wanted to believe in the dream I had been building since I was a little girl. Looking back, I can see now how obvious the signs were. The subtle glances, the coincidences, the small lies he told to cover his tracks, they were all pieces of a puzzle I refused to solve until it was far too late. I kept telling myself Liam was perfect. He was charming, intelligent, and attentive. Friends and family admired him, often commenting that I had hit the jackpot. He gave me flowers, whispered sweet things, and always seemed to know exactly what to say. But perfection can be a mask. I noticed moments of irritability, unexplained absences, and fleeting frustration whenever I brought up Madison. He dismissed my concerns with patience, calling them wedding nerves. Even Madison seemed overly helpful at times, showing up just to make sure everything was okay. I appreciated her support, or thought I did, never realizing that her presence was strategic, calculated, and ultimately destructive. The first real doubt came when Liam left his phone unattended. A message preview from someone named M popped up. I didn't read it, afraid of what I might see. I should have known that hesitation would cost me dearly, but I pushed it down, telling myself he loved me. that this was his final pre-wedding stress. Trust, I would learn, can be both a blessing and a trap, and mine was about to be tested in the most devastating way imaginable. As the wedding day approached, I began noticing more of the subtle red flags. Liam's excuses became more frequent. "I'll be home soon," he'd text, only to return hours later with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He started taking longer showers, hiding his phone, and being overly protective of what I assumed were work messages. Madison's behavior grew stranger. She was always around Liam, whispering, laughing softly, brushing past him with too much familiarity. Emma noticed it too and gave me cautious glances, but I convinced myself it was harmless. I wanted to believe in the dream, the perfect facade we had created for everyone to admire. Even small things unnerved me, the faint smell of perfume on Liam's shirts, a lipstick mark I thought I imagined, and the way Madison seemed to always be the first to offer reassurance when tensions arose. I began to question my own instincts, wondering if I was simply being paranoid, hormonal, or overly anxious. Little did I know that every red flag was a warning, a signal I would soon wish I had paid attention to before it was too late. The night before the wedding, everything should have been calm. Instead, I felt an uneasy energy. Liam claimed he was finishing last-minute work tasks, but his phone never left his side. He seemed distant, distracted, and oddly tense. Madison offered to help me with last-minute touches for the wedding, her tone sweet, her smile disarming. She volunteered to stay overnight, claiming she wanted to ensure everything went perfectly. I should have seen through it, but I trusted them both. Emma tried to warn me subtly, hinting that things didn't feel right, but I brushed it off. I wanted to enjoy the moment, savor the happiness I had dreamed of my whole life. The excitement blinded me, masking the betrayal that was already crawling closer with every passing hour. By the time I went to bed, heart racing, mind spinning, I had no idea that the next day would shatter my world completely and that the people I trusted most would betray me in the cruelest way imaginable. Madison's presence had always been comforting, or so I thought, but in the days leading up to the wedding, something about her seemed off. She hovered near Liam more than necessary, brushing past him in ways that felt intimate yet casual. I tried to tell myself I was imagining things, that I was simply anxious and emotional. Emma, ever perceptive, whispered cautions. "Chloe, maybe it's nothing, but be careful." I smiled, reassured myself, and tried to brush off the unease. I didn't want to ruin the excitement, and I didn't want to believe that my best friend or someone I trusted could harbor secrets that would destroy my happiness. Madison laughed a little too easily at Liam's jokes, touched his arm just a fraction too long, and offered to help him with tasks that didn't need her attention. I convinced myself these were harmless quirks, that she was just a supportive friend, but deep down, a nagging doubt gnawed at me, quiet and persistent. I told myself that the wedding was about joy, about love, about celebrating the life Liam and I were about to start together. I refused to see the storm quietly gathering behind closed doors. The dress fitting should have been a magical moment, filled with twirls, laughter, and tears of joy. Instead, I noticed Liam's distracted glances at his phone, the slight smirk that crossed Madison's face when no one was looking. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but my heart sank with a growing sense of unease. Emma fussed over the gown, helping me lace up, while I tried to focus on the beauty of the day. Liam complimented the dress, yet his eyes darted away quickly, as if he had somewhere else to be someone else. Madison lingered behind us, offering unsolicited adjustments, whispering comments to Liam that made me feel invisible. I tried to brush it off as excitement or nerves, but the tiny knot in my stomach refused to untangle. Something was wrong, and no matter how hard I tried to ignore it, the truth was creeping closer, waiting to reveal itself. The morning of the wedding, my nerves buzzed with anticipation. "Chloe, today is your day," I reminded myself. But there was a tension in the air I couldn't explain. Liam was quiet, checking his phone frequently, and Madison lingered just a little too close, her laughter light but deliberate. I tried to confide in Emma, but my words felt flimsy. How could I express a fear that seemed irrational, even to myself? The anxiety bubbled beneath the surface, a small warning I had no choice but to ignore. My mother moved around us like a conductor, orchestrating every detail, keeping the chaos at bay. And yet, even amid the flurry of perfection, I felt the subtle, creeping sense that the dream I had built so carefully might not be what it seemed. Liam excused himself for a moment and left his phone on the dresser. I noticed it buzzing repeatedly, the name M flashing across the screen. My hands shook as I reached for it, but I hesitated. I didn't want to believe the truth. A small part of me wanted to leave it alone, to trust him like I always had. But another part, a growing instinct, told me that this moment could change everything. I forced myself to look and immediately regretted it. The messages were intimate, familiar, and undeniably inappropriate. I stepped back, heart pounding, trying to breathe. Was this real? Could he really betray me like this? Now? On the day I was supposed to marry him? The house buzzed with excitement as family and friends began to arrive. "Chloe, you can do this," I told myself. The adrenaline of the day kept me moving, helping with final touches, smiling at everyone who came to celebrate. My parents beamed with pride, unaware of the storm lurking just behind the smiles. Emma stayed close, offering quiet support, her eyes occasionally flicking toward Liam and Madison. The tension in my chest grew, a silent pressure that wouldn't let up. Something was about to happen, and I didn't yet know that the betrayal I feared would strike with the force of a hurricane, shattering everything I thought I knew. The morning of the wedding was electric. The flowers were perfect, my mother's arrangements flawless, and my nerves were a jittering mixture of excitement and exhaustion. Emma fussed over every detail, whispering encouragement and reminding me to breathe. Liam seemed distracted, checking his phone far too often. I told myself it was nerves or last-minute coordination, anything to cling to the illusion that he was still the man I trusted. Madison lingered, offering help at every turn, brushing past Liam in ways that now made me uncomfortable. I pushed the feelings aside, telling myself that they were harmless, that I was simply overthinking. Every moment felt like it was stretched between elation and unease. I kissed my parents goodbye, reminding myself that today was my day, my dream. Yet, in the quiet moments, when no one was looking, a whisper of doubt tickled the back of my mind. Something was wrong. I just didn't know how badly. Guests started arriving, their smiles and congratulations wrapping around me like a warm blanket. I laughed, I hugged, I posed for photos, but all the while, the knot in my stomach grew tighter. Liam's absence from the final preparations didn't go unnoticed, and Madison's constant hovering felt increasingly intentional. Emma tried to reassure me. "It's just nerves, Chloe. You've got this." I nodded, forcing a smile. Yet deep down, my instincts screamed that today would not go as planned. Every glance between Liam and Madison felt loaded, and my heart sank at the thought of what I might see. In the hours before the ceremony, I stepped away to adjust my veil. That's when I noticed something strange. Liam and Madison were supposed to be assisting with last-minute setup, but the room where they had disappeared to was closed off. A faint, unfamiliar laughter drifted through the door. I hesitated, telling myself it was innocent, just nervous giggles between friends. But the instinct that had been gnawing at me all week screamed louder. I approached the door quietly, curiosity and dread warring inside me. I opened the door and my world shattered. Liam and Madison were together, intimately close, my wedding dress rumpled and wrinkled around them. The laughter I had dismissed as harmless now rang in my ears like a cruel taunt. My knees buckled. I couldn't speak. My hands trembled. My heart felt like it had stopped beating. The people I trusted most had betrayed me in the ultimate way, at the very moment when I should have been happiest. The room felt suffocating, a swirl of shock, heartbreak, and rage. All the warnings, all the subtle signs, none of it mattered in that instant. The betrayal was real, undeniable, and catastrophic. I stumbled back, tears blurring my vision. Emma's voice cut through the haze. "Chloe, oh my God." But it was too late. The damage was done. Liam's face drained of color as he realized I had seen everything. Madison froze, guilt flickering in her eyes. The betrayal wasn't just personal, it was public, humiliating, and unforgettable. I wanted to scream, to run, to throw the entire wedding into chaos. I realized that this day, the day I had dreamed of since I was a little girl, was now the day my world fell apart. My parents rushed in, concern and confusion etched on their faces. I barely heard their words. All I knew was that the life I had planned, the man I had trusted, and the friend I had adored were all complicit in tearing my happiness to pieces. I stood there, stunned, heartbroken, and betrayed. The illusion of perfection was gone, replaced by a raw, unforgiving truth. I couldn't move. My hands shook, my chest felt tight, and the world seemed to have tilted sideways. Liam tried to reach for me, but I recoiled. Madison's face paled, guilt and fear flashing across her features. Emma grabbed my arm gently. "Chloe, breathe. Don't let them see you break." But I could feel the rage bubbling under my skin, hot and consuming. I wanted to scream, to make them feel even a fraction of the pain they had caused me. The room was filled with stunned silence. Guests milling nearby noticed the tension, sensing that something catastrophic had occurred behind closed doors. Victor and Linda Ellis rushed in, their eyes wide with disbelief. "Chloe, what happened?" my mother asked, voice trembling. I wanted to tell them everything at once, but the words felt lodged in my throat. This was more than betrayal. This was a calculated devastation, orchestrated in the shadows while I had been preparing for the happiest day of my life. Every laugh, every smile, every tender glance I had shared with Liam now felt like a cruel joke. Finally, I found my voice. "How could you?" I demanded, staring at Liam, my heart breaking in a way that no words could describe. "Today, on our wedding day. And you, Madison, I trusted you," Liam stammered, trying to justify himself. "Chloe, I don't know what to say." His words were hollow, rehearsed, weak. Madison's silence was deafening, guilt and shame painting her face in shades of red. "You both planned this behind my back," I shouted. "All those smiles, all those lies, how could you betray me like this, in my wedding dress?" The reality hit harder with each passing second. This wasn't a mistake or a lapse in judgment. This was a deliberate, calculated act of betrayal. And the people I loved most, my fiancé, my friend, were the architects. Whispers began to spread among the guests. Some had seen the tension, some had noticed Liam and Madison's strange behavior. It was impossible to contain the truth now. My parents tried to maintain calm, but the hurt in their eyes was undeniable. Friends looked shocked, murmurs rippling through the crowd. "Chloe!" my mind screamed. "You have to stay strong." I forced my shoulders back, holding my chin high, despite the tears threatening to fall. This public humiliation added another layer to the betrayal. Not only had Liam and Madison ruined my trust, but they had also made my family, friends, and wedding guests witnesses to my heartbreak. Liam finally tried to speak, his voice low, desperate. "Chloe, it's not what you think." I was confused. "I didn't mean..." I cut him off. I've seen everything. Your words mean nothing. You chose her. On the day we were supposed to celebrate our love, you chose deceit, lies, and betrayal." He looked stricken, but I could see it was fear, not remorse. He had been caught, not confronted by conscience. I realized then that some people only regret getting caught, not their actions. My father's jaw tightened, a mixture of anger and disappointment in his eyes. My mother held back tears, her hands shaking as she struggled to comfort me. "Chloe, we had no idea," my mother whispered, voice breaking. Emma remained my anchor, whispering, "You're stronger than this. We'll get through it." I realized that the fallout extended beyond Liam and Madison. The betrayal had infiltrated every corner of my world. I felt a mixture of heartbreak, rage, and disbelief. But amid the chaos, a seed of resolve took root. This was not the end of my story. I had been humiliated, yes, but I would not let this define me. Liam and Madison had underestimated my strength, and I intended to reclaim my life, my dignity, and my future. The days after the wedding were a blur. "Chloe, you survived the worst day of your life," I reminded myself. Liam disappeared, as if shame could erase what he had done. Madison avoided my gaze, offering weak apologies that meant nothing. I focused on rebuilding my sense of self. Every morning, I reminded myself that my worth was not defined by their betrayal. Emma stayed close, offering support, a steady voice in the chaos. Together, we sorted through wedding contracts, returned gifts, and began reclaiming the parts of my life that had been overshadowed by deceit. Even my parents provided quiet reassurance. Their love was unwavering, and for the first time since the betrayal, I felt the stirrings of hope. Slowly, I realized that strength wasn't about revenge, it was about survival, self-respect, and reclaiming the life I deserved. I dug deeper, uncovering the extent of Liam and Madison's deception. Texts, secret plans, and hidden messages painted a complete picture of how meticulously they had orchestrated this betrayal. Every moment I had trusted them became a lesson in vigilance. It hurt, of course. The raw, aching pain of realizing how deeply I had been manipulated was almost unbearable. But with each discovery, my resolve hardened. I would not be a victim forever. Knowledge gave me power, the power to make decisions for my own life, free from their deceit. I finally demanded a face-to-face conversation with Liam and Madison. No witnesses, no excuses. I want honesty, I said, voice steady but fierce. They offered weak apologies and empty words, attempting to justify their actions, but I didn't waver. You betrayed me. You humiliated me. There's no excuse that can fix this. You have nothing left to give me. Seeing the fear and realization in their faces gave me a strange sense of satisfaction, not revenge, exactly, but the justice of truth spoken aloud. Weeks turned into months. Chloe, I told myself, your life is yours to reclaim. I removed reminders of Liam and Madison, focusing on friends, family, and personal goals. I explored new opportunities, traveled, laughed again. I realized that moving on wasn't just about leaving them behind. It was about embracing who I was, independent of their betrayal. Every small victory, every night of peaceful sleep, every laugh that wasn't forced was proof that I could live fully, freely, and joyfully without them. Looking back, the betrayal still stings, but it no longer controls me. I've learned the hard truth. Some people are not who you think they are, and love alone cannot protect you from deceit. But I also learned resilience, self-worth, and the power of reclaiming my life. Chloe, my story is mine. I am stronger than I was yesterday, and I will never allow anyone to diminish my happiness again. The wedding may have been stolen, the trust broken, but my future remains unwritten, full of possibilities. And for the first time in a long time, I feel truly free.
Betrayal breaks, but it also builds. Chloe's story reminds us that sometimes the people we trust most are the ones who wound us the deepest. But strength is born in heartbreak, and healing is the sweetest revenge. What would you have done if you were Chloe walked away or made them regret it? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this one. Until next time, this was Lies and Regrets. And hey, if this story hooked you, I've got another one waiting that'll make your jaw drop. Just click here on the screen. I'll meet you over there. Subscribe for more Lies and Regrets, and don't forget to like and share.